She was my best friend's mother, and every afternoon, I watched her swim like a secret I wasn't supposed to want. People think desire roars, but the truth? Sometimes it whispers, quiet, slow, like sunlight slipping between blinds, unnoticed, until it's everywhere. My name's Luke, I'm 23, and I clean pools in Mesa Ridge, a quiet, sun-drunk suburb outside Phoenix, Arizona. The kind of place where sprinklers hum before dawn and everyone's yard looks identical in a way that's both expensive and empty. My job isn't glamorous. I skim leaves, scrub tiles, balance chlorine. It's monotonous, predictable, invisible work, done while the world looks the other way. But I don't mind. Predictability has a strange way of keeping you numb, safe. Until her name is Claire Maddox, and she changed everything. Claire lives in Unit 12, stucco walls, terracotta roof, the usual desert chic. Her son, Ryan, was my best friend in high school. We used to hang out in his garage, play old Xbox games, scarf down microwave burritos while his mom floated silently in the background, graceful and unknowable, like a painting on a wall you never look directly at. Then Ryan left for college in Colorado last year, and Claire stayed behind, alone. I hadn't thought much of her, not really. Not until I started cleaning pools professionally and ended up assigned to the Mesa Ridge community. Week after week, I found myself circling back to Unit 12, checking filters, scrubbing algae, adjusting the skimmer with too much focus. And she, Claire, was always there. Always late afternoons when the light turned soft and golden and everything looked like it was glowing from the inside out. She'd appear at the edge of her pool like a memory surfacing, hair tucked into a loose bun, bare feet on hot stone, a dark one-piece hugging her hips like silk poured over skin. She'd lower herself into the water slowly, deliberately, and glide through it like she belonged there more than she ever belonged on land. I tried not to watch, but I always did. And the thing is, watching her didn't feel like spying. It felt like breathing in something I didn't know I'd been suffocating without. She never said much, just a soft, hey sometimes, or a polite nod. But her presence, it was like gravity, subtle but inescapable. One afternoon, I stayed longer than usual, said I was checking the salt levels, which was a lie. I was watching her, the way she floated on her back, eyes closed, the curve of her collarbones glistening in the low sun. She looked like something the desert should be ashamed it never worshipped. And then she cramped. It happened fast. One moment she was fluid, seamless. The next, her limbs jerked slightly, her body folding awkwardly, her face twitching with sudden panic. I dropped everything and ran. "Claire!" I shouted, voice breaking. Her eyes met mine, wide and desperate. No words, just water and helplessness. I kicked off my shoes, dove in, and swam to her. She felt small in my arms, strong, but trembling. The moment I touched her, she went still. I wrapped an arm around her waist, guiding her carefully to the shallow end. When we surfaced, our breathing was loud and uneven, hers from pain, mine from something else I didn't have a name for yet. She didn't say much. "Just a cramp," she whispered, embarrassed. "It happens." I handed her the towel she left nearby. Her fingers brushed mine, slow, lingering. I swear she looked at me then. Really looked. Not like a pool guy. Not like her son's friend. Just me. The next day, I couldn't stop thinking about the way her hair had clung wetly to her neck, the warmth of her skin under the water, the look in her eyes. Not fear. Not exactly. It was something more vulnerable. That evening, she came again. And she smiled. Not a stranger's smile. A private one. A soft, knowing kind of smile that made my chest feel too tight. "Thanks for yesterday," she said. I shrugged, trying to play it cool. It's nothing. It wasn't nothing. Then silence, heavy, charged. She pulled off her robe, revealing the same black swimsuit. But something about the way she moved now, unhurried, comfortable, felt different. Aware. She dove in. I stayed longer than I needed to. Pretended to check the filter basket 3 times. The light faded. Shadows stretched. Claire floated on her back, eyes closed, lips parted slightly. Her ribcage rose and fell with a kind of lazy grace. Drops of water traced down her chest, catching sunlight like diamonds skating across flesh. I watched from the edge, hands clenched, wanting, without permission. That night, I dreamt of her. In the dream, we swam together under moonlight. Her hands found mine beneath the surface. Her body brushed mine, slick and soft, and the water pulsed around us like breath. When I woke, I was aching, embarrassed, and yet sickly grateful. The next few days, our dynamic shifted. She lingered after swims, asked about my job, my life. We spoke about nothing, and yet it felt like everything. One afternoon, she wore a sundress instead of her usual robe. It barely grazed her thighs. She crossed her legs slowly, deliberately, sitting poolside like some desert siren designed to be admired but never touched. I cleaned nearby, pretending not to notice. But I did. Every inch. The sun made her skin glow in places I tried not to name. Her neckline dipped dangerously low. Her legs, long and golden, swayed gently with the rhythm of the heat. She knew what she was doing. I should have left. Instead, I asked if she wanted water. She laughed, a low, quiet sound that settled into my bones. No, but thank you. You're always so attentive. My throat dried. Just doing my job. She said, smiling. I'm not so sure. And then it happened. A moment so small, so fleeting. I almost convinced myself I imagined it. As she stood to leave, she passed close by me, too close. Her arm brushed mine, the side of her breast pressing briefly against my shoulder. Her perfume, jasmine, maybe, lingered long after she was gone. I stood there, heart thudding, hand still holding the water bottle I never gave her. Something had shifted, and I couldn't pretend anymore. Some boundaries aren't drawn in ink. They're drawn in glances that last too long, in silences that throb with questions nobody dares to ask. The day after Claire brushed against me, I tried to act normal. Or what passed for normal when your heart feels like a loaded gun every time someone says her name. I arrived early at the complex, earlier than usual, told myself it was to beat the heat, but the sky was still dark when I parked, and I knew the real reason. I wanted to avoid her. But of course, I didn't. Around 5 p.m., just as I was wrapping up, I saw her through the trees, barefoot, as always. Her robe fluttered slightly in the breeze. She moved slower that day, like the heat wasn't just in the air but in her bones. "Hey, Luke," she said casually. "Hey," I replied, throat dry. She sat on the pool chair nearest me, one leg tucked under the other. Her robe slipped slightly, revealing her thigh. She didn't adjust it. I pretended not to look. Failed miserably. "You always leave before I'm done," she said, brushing her fingers through her hair. "Busy?" I hesitated. "Just trying not to overstay." She tilted her head. "You never do." There was something in her voice, soft, sad, maybe a little amused. And that's when I realized she was lonely. Not bored, not dramatic, just alone. So was I. We sat quietly, the desert wind curling around us like a whispered dare. I wanted to leave, but my body wouldn't move. I kept pretending to adjust the pool lights. tighter, slower. "I saw you watching me yesterday," she said suddenly, eyes fixed on the rippling water. I froze. "What?" She turned, meeting my eyes. "It's okay. I was watching you, too." My stomach dropped. Every instinct screamed to step back. Apologize. Laugh it off. Instead, I said the only thing that came to mind. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable." "You didn't," she said. "You made me feel noticed." I didn't know how to respond, so I didn't. That night, I didn't sleep. My brain was a mess of images. Her smile, the curve of her back when she climbed out of the pool, her voice saying, "You made me feel noticed." It wasn't love, not yet, but it was something. And then, everything cracked. The next afternoon, I arrived as usual, sun blazing, hose in hand, focused on not thinking. Claire hadn't shown up yet. And I was halfway through backwashing the system when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Dude, no way." I turned. It was Ryan, my best friend, her son, standing in front of me, backpack slung, tan from the Colorado sun, like some ghost from a life I'd forgotten how to carry. "Ryan," I blinked, stunned. "What are you doing here?" He grinned. "Surprised you, huh? I took an early flight. Wanted to come home for my mom's birthday. Thought I'd catch her by the pool or something." My heart sank. "Right, yeah. That's great, man." He looked around. "You still working here?" "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. "Ironic, huh? Cleaning my mom's pool now?" I laughed, too loudly. "Yeah, real full circle." But inside, I was dying. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw movement. Claire, standing on the patio, frozen mid-step. She had on her swimsuit. Her hair was loose. She looked between Ryan and me, lips slightly parted. Something passed in her gaze. Shock, hesitation, fear. She quickly disappeared inside. Ryan didn't notice. But I did. After he left, I stayed by the pool longer than I should have. Claire didn't come back out. The sun dipped low. I was soaked in sweat and something else. Shame, maybe. That night, I sat in my truck outside the complex, headlights off. Just breathing, or trying to. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Claire. I shouldn't have let things go this far. I stared at the screen, unsure what things meant anymore, but I knew she wasn't wrong. The next few days were hell. I avoided her. Skipped her pool entirely. Made excuses. I started finishing earlier, leaving before golden hour, before temptation, before possibility. I thought space would help, but all it did was leave a bigger hole. Then one afternoon, I found it, a letter, slipped under my truck windshield, folded neatly, no name. But I knew the handwriting. Luke. I've spent years pretending I wasn't lonely, pretending being seen didn't matter, but then you came along, quiet, kind, always watching without expectation. I shouldn't feel what I feel. You're younger. You're Ryan's friend. But when you look at me, I feel like a woman again, not just a mother or an ex-wife or someone invisible. If I were 10 years younger, or maybe if life were just a little less complicated, I'd have let you kiss me that night by the pool. But I didn't, and I won't. But that doesn't mean I don't think about it. Claire. My hands trembled, my chest ached, and still, I didn't respond. Not yet. I needed to be sure of what this was, of what I wanted, of what I could live with. But the next time I saw her, everything changed. She was sitting alone by the pool, wrapped in a towel, the sun hitting her in just the right way that her skin looked like it was drinking in light. She didn't swim that day. just watched me, quiet, still. "I miss our talks," she said finally. I nodded. "Me too. I know I made things hard. No harder than they already were." She looked at me then, and her eyes, God, her eyes. They looked like something that had waited too long to cry. "I just want someone to listen," she whispered. "I'm listening." And I was, fully, without judgment. Because sometimes the most intimate thing isn't touching, it's understanding. Some of the most dangerous feelings don't arrive with thunder. They creep in quietly, between sentences, inside silences, beneath the things we almost say but don't. After that afternoon, something shifted. Subtle, but real. Claire no longer hovered at the edges of our encounters. She met me at the center, eyes steady, voice clear, no longer pretending we were just two people separated by age and memory. There was an ease in how she sat near me now. No robe, no distance. Just her, in that black swimsuit that clung to her body like it had known her a lifetime. Her legs, tan and long, dipped lazily into the water. Every time she crossed them, the fabric of her suit pulled slightly at her waist, revealing the gentle slope of her hip. I tried not to look, but God, it was like trying not to breathe. "I didn't think we'd still be talking," she said one evening, swirling her toes through the surface of the pool. After that letter, I sat beside her, close but not touching. I couldn't stop thinking about it. She smiled faintly, eyes never leaving the water. "You never said anything." I didn't know how. Her shoulder brushed mine, soft and deliberate. She leaned her head back, neck arched, throat exposed to the cooling air like it belonged to someone unafraid of being seen. We talked for hours that night, about her divorce, her regrets, the way Ryan leaving made the house feel hollow. She confessed she hadn't painted in years, even though it used to be the only thing that ever made her feel alive. "Maybe you should paint again," I said. She looked at me like I'd offered her a door she forgot was still open. And then, just like that, something else happened. The next afternoon, she didn't swim. Instead, she wore a loose cotton dress and brought out 2 glasses of wine. She handed me one, her fingers grazing mine. It wasn't flirtatious, it wasn't innocent either. It just was. "You don't drink on the job?" she teased. I smiled. "Only when the company's worth breaking the rule for," she laughed, low and genuine. "Dangerous answer?" "Luke." We sat by the pool again, just like always. But it didn't feel like always. The wine warmed me in places I hadn't noticed were cold. She talked about her younger years, how she once wanted to move to Italy, paint under olive trees, lose herself in light and color. "I gave all that up for a marriage that didn't last," she said softly. "Maybe it's not too late," I replied. She turned, eyes shining in the last of the sun. "You think?" "I do." Her hand found my arm, just rested there, not asking, not begging, just being. And I let it. The sky was turning amber, the pool glowing faintly with its underwater lights. She leaned into me, shoulder against shoulder. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Do you ever wonder what your life might have been if just one thing had gone differently?" "All the time." She didn't say anything for a long moment. Then, "Do you think I missed my chance at being happy?" That question hit me harder than I expected. I turned toward her. "I think happiness isn't a single door. I think it's a hallway. And sometimes we just haven't found the right door yet." She smiled, sad but touched. "You always say the most dangerous things like they're soft." I mean them. We didn't kiss that night, but we could have. And maybe that was more intimate. The next few days felt like living inside the pause before something irreversible. I caught myself watching her mouth when she spoke, noticing the way her tongue traced her bottom lip after sipping wine. I saw how she adjusted her swimsuit slowly, her fingers trailing down the strap like she wasn't entirely unaware of my gaze. But I still didn't cross the line, and neither did she. One afternoon, after everyone had left the complex early, we sat together again. The pool was silent. Even the wind felt like it was holding its breath. "Luke," she said softly, "I want to ask you something, but I'm afraid of the answer." "Ask." She hesitated, looking toward the sky. "Do you feel guilty? Being here? With me? Wanting me?" The air thickened between us. "I do," I admitted. "But not because of you. Because of Ryan." I nodded. She pulled her knees up to her chest, wrapping her arms around them. For a second, she looked smaller than I'd ever seen her. "I feel it too," she said. "Like we're writing something in the margins of someone else's story." The truth hung there, unsaid. We were crossing into something neither of us could name. That night, I drove home trembling, wanting her more than I ever wanted anything, wanting her in ways I didn't know how to articulate. The slope of her back, the whisper of her voice, the way she leaned in when she laughed, like she'd forgotten how heavy the world could be. And then came the dream. A second one. We were in her house, the blinds drawn, the sound of her bare feet against hardwood floors. She stood in front of me, wrapped in that cotton dress, but this time it slid from her shoulders like water, pooling at her feet. She stepped toward me. Her hands were warm. I woke up gasping. The next afternoon, I tried to act normal, but she noticed. "You okay?" I swallowed. "Just tired." "Liar." I looked at her. "You don't make it easy to think straight." She raised a brow, amused. "Do you want me to?" "No." Silence. Then she leaned in, whispering low enough for only the desert to hear. "Good." She stood and walked away, her hips swaying with quiet authority. I watched her leave, and I knew I was in deeper than I could admit out loud. Sometimes the most powerful moments aren't the ones filled with touch or words. They're the ones where nothing happens, but everything changes. It had been almost 2 weeks since Ryan had shown up unexpectedly. Since then, things between Claire and me danced on a razor's edge, close enough to burn, restrained just enough not to bleed. We never touched more than we should. We never kissed. And yet, I woke up every day feeling like we had done all those things and more. I started arriving later, on purpose, skipping her pool, skipping her smile. But every time I tried to pull away, something in me snapped back toward her. One late afternoon, I stayed after my shift and sat in my truck outside the complex like some ghost of my own guilt. And then, she came out. She was barefoot again, wearing that same faded robe. But this time, there was something different in her eyes, less distant, more searching. I got out. Claire stood by the pool, arms folded. "You've been avoiding me," she said, not angry, just hurt. I didn't pretend. I thought it'd be easier. For who? For both of us. Her laugh was soft and sharp. "You mean for you?" I stepped closer, hands still stained with chlorine and confusion. I didn't know what else to do. Her eyes were steady now. "You think I don't wrestle with this too? That I don't lie awake wondering how any of this makes sense?" "It doesn't," I whispered. "It's not supposed to. Then why does it feel?" She paused, searching the air for the word. "Safe?" We stood there, the desert heat lingering long after the sun had gone. She sat by the pool's edge, and I sat beside her. "I've been married," she said quietly. "I raised a child. I built a life I thought was solid. And now I'm alone in a house full of memories I don't want to dust. I know what it feels like, I murmured. To wait for life to show up and never realize it already has. We were quiet for a long time. The sound of water moving gently between tiles was the only thing filling the space between us. Then she said something I didn't expect. I found a place, Claire whispered. By the coast. Small town. Has light I can actually see. I'm thinking of moving there. I turned to her, my chest tightening. When? Soon. 1,000 questions screamed behind my ribs. Are you leaving because of me? Should I ask you to stay? Should I go with you? But all I could manage was, will you paint again? She smiled faintly. That's the plan. Then she looked at me, really looked at me. You changed something, Luke. I blinked. What? You made me remember I'm still alive, that I still have desire in me, that I'm not just someone's mother or someone's ex-wife. You looked at me like I mattered. My throat closed. You matter to me, I said, voice shaking. She touched my arm. Her fingers were warm and trembling slightly. And for a moment, I thought she might kiss me. She didn't. Instead, she pulled back, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear like she was anchoring herself. Maybe this, she gestured between us, was never about destination. Maybe it was just the reminder we both needed. I nodded, my chest hollow and full all at once. Maybe. The next day, she was gone. No big goodbye. No lingering glance. Just an empty patio and the echo of unsaid things. But she left one thing behind. A small canvas, tucked inside a waterproof plastic envelope, sitting on the poolside chair like it had always belonged there. It was a painting of water, of desert light, of a figure, barely visible, floating beneath the surface. One arm extended, reaching toward the sunlight. It wasn't signed, but I didn't need a signature. I framed it, hung it above my bed. Weeks passed. I went back to cleaning pools, chlorine, nets, quiet sunburned hours. But I was different now. Still drifting maybe, but no longer asleep. One evening, I started sketching. Just rough pencil lines on a stained notepad. Nothing fancy. I don't know why. Maybe because she told me to find my own door, or maybe because she left one open. She was my best friend's mother, and I never touched her, but I saw her, and for a while, she saw me too. Maybe that was enough. Maybe it always had been.